you should be very happy when you receive the score for last semester, because I pick up, as I promised, I pick up the best of 3 subjects, then I erase the worst ones. But that's why I make everybody's final score looks good. But this semester, I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to use the raw data for your whole semesters. So be careful. But in terms of that, I will not try to make difficult for you, because your class attendance cannot be like last week. You should pay attention, because this marks 10%. And also we have class involvement. I'm not going to ask you to upload the notes in class, okay? But instead, remember last chapter, I assigned some paperwork, doing some exercise during the class, okay? So that's why that one is the involvement for here. So you have to really understand what I'm talking in class, okay? Then after the end, you have to submit a paper. No excuse, no delay. You have to do that right after the class, because you do the exercise, follow my instruction. I don't think that will be difficult to complete before the class, okay? 知道吗？这个学期我们有很多的作业，在课堂上练习。如果你课堂上有练习，你就会有分数 ，OK？ 所以这个是课堂的参与。So and also for these 2 is to be okay, the chapter exam and the in-class quiz. But for the midterm, this method for all college common subject like accounting 2, economic 2, or some management course 2, okay? As long as they are college core courses, then it's required to have a common exam, which means all the students under the college have to take the exam. 会考，会计学、经济学、统计都会有会考 ，okay? So we're going to set on using the midterm. You know, so instead of you don't have the really midterm exam, but instead you're using the common exam from chapter 1 to chapter 9. Okay, the common exam. But don't worry. Even though you probably were not doing well last semester, because we asked our new TA, Rosie. Her name's Rosie, coming from Mongolia, and she's a very serious student and very good student, okay? She's helping you to do the review from chapter 1, go through the chapter 9. Okay, actually, there are only 8 chapters, because we are going to skip chapter 7. That's about the information system, because normally, we're going to will not teach that chapter. All the departments are the same. Okay, so totally 8 chapters, then about 10 multiple choice only for each chapter. So the TA for every Tuesday practicing time, she's going to guide you, review, and do the repeat exam. So for the formal midterm, it's going to have like 50 questions about multiple choice. If you did well for the review, then you definitely will have no problem. But however, it sounds not that difficult. However, for the past few years, most of the time, except accounting department, the average probably can be about 70. But all the other departments, the average score is about under 50. Even though we have test bank, I don't know why. So I hope this class we can get at least every 60 above. Okay? 我们会有一个会考，那会考会有题库，那助教会每个礼拜2带你们做复习。那最后呢的正式考试，它就是期中考试，那占25%。过往不知道为什么每一次的有题库的考试，大家都还是考出来的平均班级都是低于50分哈。所以 accounting, I don't know. For lots of people feel it's so difficult, but as long as you use the mind, you try to become a very logical person, then it's really nothing. Okay, Kevin, this is the second time for you to take the accounting. What do you feel now about accounting? How much time you put effort?
3 hours a week.
Weekly?
Yeah.
2 hours, 3 hours?
4.
4?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Okay. So as long as you put effort, I don't think that'll be difficult. And so for midterm, I put more scale, 25%. Okay. Then the final is 20. To let you know, let's see what the test bank looks like. Let's see what the test bank looks like. So every one of you, actually, we have electronic file on your trunk class. And I also asked your classmate, Zheng, to help to print. Some of you have taken already, and some of you haven't. Okay, if you haven't, oh, that's the one, another one. I mean, this is the one in class practice. So everyone has later. If you didn't have this one, please take one copy. And we're going to do the exercise in class. Okay? That's about involvement. Let's see the test bank, how it looks like. Oh, the computer is so slow. It's gonna take forever.所以那个振宇，你有把那一本的复习给同学了吗？OK。就是题库叫你去印。
那天那个实作课的时候，
把它拿下来。Okay. So this is an example for 8 chapters. Actually, for the past few years, we had a test plan from chapter 1 to chapter 10. But however, before the semester meeting, we decided to move chapter 10 in case we cannot catch up the schedule. So there are only the chapters from chapter 1 to chapter 9 except chapter 7. So all are about the multiple choices. So every Tuesday, your TA's responsibility is to help you really understand the question. But the problem is don't think I'm smart, I just want to remember the answer. It won't work because the real exam, we might change the numbers here. Okay, so you cannot try to remember the answer. Okay, so you should know how to do that. Those things are all very basic. Very, very basic. Okay, not difficult at all. I really think everyone should get at least 85 or 80 something. Okay. All right. So I asked Rosie, your TA. So one chapter review for the second one, next chapters. But for quiz, you have to accumulate every time. The first time maybe one chapter, next time maybe 3 chapters, until you finish all the review. Okay? And besides that, she's going to help doing some exercise related to the content in class. Okay. So, also, for example, we're going to go to chapter 6 today. for each chapter. So after my chapter 6, I will try to link to this test bank. Then you will understand right away. Okay? Alright, then we're going to get chapter 6 for inventory for today. And also, just want to remind you, some of you may feel difficult in terms of English. And I already also put on the Chinese PPT. Very similar content. So whoever needs to refer to the Chinese PPT, you can do that. It's also on your Trump class. It's so hard to imagine why we still have such a slow computer. Okay, great. So chapter 6, actually we already studied few pages last week. Then I'm going to do it quick to whatever I have taught. Okay? Okay, chapter 6 is about inventory and cost of sales. So if you still remember, for chapter 5, we're talking about merchandising business. Okay, merchandise means you buy something and then you sell something. Okay, so at the time, everybody should know for the income statement, you have net sales, then you minus cost of goods sold, then you get the gross profit. So gross profit is something related to the goods item only. It's nothing related to all the other expenses. So if I'm asking you something like this tape is that gross profit, I'm only saying when you are making this desk, what about the main material? Okay, and what about who made this desk? It's the people working on the factory. You may you don't come on, pick up the other thing. You don't have to squeeze together. Okay, you don't have to squeeze together. Then or this one here or here. Okay, I'm saying the gross profit is only about the cost of the product. Okay, for example, I'm teaching cost accounting now. People working in the factory, laborers, okay, so the salaries of the labor, their expense, even we call salary expense, their salary should be included into the under the cost. But when people, sales department, okay, they are selling the desk, the furniture, their salary should not be included in the cost. So when we say the gross profit, the concept is only the when you are manufacturing the desk, only the related expense. Then let me ask you, we have a utility bill, okay? We have factory, and we have office, and we also have store. Listen. We have electronic bill, 电费, utility bill, 水电费. Then some were incurred in the factory. Factory 工厂 means the place to manufacture the products. Okay, and some utility bill is related to the office, who is trying to do the administration stuff. Okay, and some utility bill is about the shop. Okay, the store. They are selling the furniture, about office furniture. Okay, so in that case, tell me, do we have to split the utility bill into 3 locations, or just one utility bill as the expense for the company, for the income statement. 假设你今天是会计，你收到水电费，好，这是个很重要的观念哈，可能不跟这个完全，但是呢，这个水电费呢，有可能是来自于工厂的，有可能是来自于办公室的，因为做行政管理，也有可能是来自于卖店面的。那请问我的问题是，请问这个水电账单这个费用啊，你是用 number one include together lump sum one bill, okay? The second one, you have to allocate to different areas. Okay, if your answer is number one, please raise your hand. 你认为这个账单一笔账单算出水电费用就好了，请举手。Okay, and number two, okay, another one. Or you think if the bill should be allocated to factory, office, and the store. If you are this one, choose this one, please raise your hands. And why? How do you allocate? 你怎么分？
每一笔都要记上去，分开记，每一个都要分开记。
分 Try to use English. How to allocate? To factory or 3 separate?
Separately.
Okay. Then, if that's so, the other who also answered choose this option 2. If you choose the option 2, separate, allocate the bill to different locations. Then for the income statement showing that we have sales minus some return, then we get net sales. Then we minus cost of goods sold. Then we go to gross profit. So far, okay? Then we have so many items, but we call that expenses. Then we have just ignore the tax. We call that net income. So for the utility bill, I'm asking you, you need to allocate to factory, office, or store, or you lump sum all the 3 locations add up together. We call that utility bill. We have 2 students saying that you should just one bill for here. Okay? Then we have several students saying that you should allocate. If you are saying allocate, how do you allocate? Because we only have one income statement. Okay? You have to show the numbers. Okay? So in that case, let me give you the answer. I just say when you are seeing the gross profit, then the cost of goods sold can be only related to the product itself. Okay? So when you are manufacturing the desk, there's huge factory, there are huge people. So that's why you're running 24 hours to manufacture. You have good business. So your utility bill, no matter how high, no matter how you can save the energy, but as long as it's related to here, so you have to put on the cost here. Okay? So when you have chance to learn the cost accounting, the concept is very important. Anything related to cost, maybe the material, like the goods, maybe the laborers who's working, manufacture the things. Maybe in that factory, you have utility bill, you have labor salary, you have related factory insurance, you have, the building factory, all the equipment's depreciation. Okay, all those things, maybe for the first 5 chapters, you will see only for here. Okay, but when you are a manufacturer, you make something, then the same item should add up to here. The cost for something. Okay, that's for the cost accounting you should learn to know. Okay, so here, so I'm saying the inventory is about cost of sales. Okay, you have to know the cost of the whatever moving from inventory to sale. What's the cost really cost you, and then you go to the gross profit. Okay, actually, chapter 6, we're not moving that further. But I think since we're talking about cost of goods sold, I should let you know the concept. What is the cost of goods sold? What the cost means. Okay, so cost is cost. When you say cost, that's most of the time it's about the item, the product, the goods. Okay, but when you are saying the expenses, it's all about, we just say 3 locations: factory, office, and the store. Okay, so here, the further the expenses, we can have another two categories. The first one is the administration expenses, and also sales expenses. What's the difference under these 2 categories? For the administration expenses, it's all about office, headquarters, office. We have our headquarters, the building, the rent is very expensive. And we have hundreds of employees working at my head office. No matter what, the salary, whatever the expense, is under the administration expense category. Then when you go to the store, we have 10 stores in Taiwan, or maybe another 10 stores in other countries. As long as they are selling goods, okay, all the sales incur, salary again, utility bill again, whatever the rent is again, all the things should be under the sales expense. So when you are going to analyze the company, you should know how does this company looks like their gross profit is so high. They cost down so much. They have good supply to purchase things. When they purchase something, it's really good price, which means here it's very low, so their gross profit is very high. But how come this company finally doesn't make that much money? Then you should consider the reason. It's because the administration area, the office, spend too much, or the store didn't know, just sell, but actually they didn't control the expense so well. Okay. Then finally, because this area you put too high, and actually their net income actually is not so impressive. Okay. So you should know what's the reason from this income statement make the things good or bad. Okay, so there's so many areas you can dig in the problem. Okay, so chapter 6 talking about the inventory. Inventory is something you buy, then you sell. Okay, the purpose for inventory is going to sell in the near future. Okay， 所以应该知道我们这一章的存货应该跟第5章的存货很相似。那主要的关键，存货一定是拿来再去卖的。OK， 好，再去卖的。I think as I taught from last semester, I don't like students eating in the class. When you finish, then you come back. Okay, if you can drink, but not food. Okay. Okay, so this chapter is something for the basics. Actually, we mentioned this already from chapter 5, so we are going to do a quick review. But we should focus in the new item about cost flow. What is cost flow? Because sometimes, you're purchasing at a different time. When you try to sell, of course, you will pick up the goods. Normally, we prefer to pick up the early one you purchased. Okay, that's we say, when do you purchase, then how do you sell out? 这叫做 cost flow 成本流动。Why assumptions? Because there are several methods you can choose. That's the interesting thing for accounting. Because as long as it's under the GAAP or under the IFRS, then they are legal. Then based on your company's condition, then you can pick up the one suitable for your company. Okay, so that's something you use method 1 or you use method 2, but they are all legal. You cannot pick up the one that is not under the rule. OK， 所以成本流动假设的原因是说，在会计里很有趣的事情哈，就有些的部分它可以有几个方法让你选。那你是会计，你是专业，你就应该去找适合你公司的方法来协助你公司创造利润。OK， 所以学会计的时候，几个方法你都要会，然后当有一天你可以做决策的时候，你应该知道哪个方法对你公司是 most favorable to your company. Okay, so that's why we have assumptions. Okay, which means there are several methods you can pick up. And the last one is about IFRS rule. Then we'll talk about that later. Okay, so we'll do quick for the basics. Okay, so when you are seeing the inventory, whoever you did not learn that well from chapter 5, okay, you know the learning curve normally very high. For later in the chapter, everybody just cannot wait to close the semester, so don't pay attention. So I can feel from your chapter 5, your exam score or your final score not that so well. But for your midterm or for chapter 1, chapter 2, most students were doing good. Okay, so chapter 5 actually is a very important chapter. 第5章的买卖业 okay, it's very merchandising business. It's very important, that chapter. Okay, from that chapter, you should know a very important criteria for inventory is who owns the right, who owns the title of the goods. Okay, if you don't hold the goods, then they cannot be your inventory. 所有权是很重要的。And another thing, when you purchase this thing, what's your purpose? You buy something, but purpose you want to invest until they increase their value, or in the purpose you purchase going to sell. Okay, if you are doing that for invest, then they cannot be counted as a inventory. They are investment. Okay, I mentioned last week, if you are the building or the land or the property agent, your company purchased some parcel of land, then they decide to build a building sometimes later. So if that's so, then the land cannot be just land. Okay, but if they purchase the land, then going to sell wherever like. Okay, then even though they are land, they are inventories. Okay, 土地，如果你是中介业，你买了土地，你如果公司说我买这个土地的目的是要公司来建公司，那它就是你的土地的会计科目。但是如果你买了土地，你是中介业，本来不就是买建筑物买土地就是要卖嘛？那个土地就不能叫土地哦，它是你的存货。Okay, the purpose for the inventory is they are going to sell in the near future. Okay, so you have to identify which one are inventories and what about the total cost. We have besides the invoice of the goods, invoice 就是你买货品的发票嘛，你买了10万就10万，20万就20万嘛，那是 invoice 的发票。Besides that, you might need to pay tax, especially for the international trade, the tariff, import duty, okay? Then also you need to, maybe you are responsible for the transportation, shipping. Maybe you have to, after they arrive, you also need to do some investigation. Make sure the goods can be, on good condition. So many things, if they happen, then they are included with the inventory. Okay, 上个礼拜我讲过， 存货不会是只有发票价格，相关的费用，比如说进货的税金，还有运费，还有检验费，还有保险费，这些如果是跟这个货品相关的，你都要把它加进去，作为你的存货成本。Okay? So far, still remember? Okay. The inventory cost should add up the related costs. Total together, then adds the inventory. Okay? So that's the first one. And the second one, and for is in terms of internal control. Okay, you have to make sure, even though you have excellent accounting information system, okay, but it could happen that someone steal the goods from the warehouse or some unexpected reason, then actually you lost some inventory. So in that case, even though no matter how good, how big your company is, or no matter how small your company is, then or how perfect is your system is, then you still have to do the physical count, 叫做存货盘点 physical count. Why? You make sure the difference between the real number and your accounting information number. Okay? Then answer me. Which one should be the final one you put on the inventory? The real number you counted, or the system number from the computer system? Real number. That's why you need to make a physical count. If you're using the computer's number, why bother to do the physical count again? You know, sometimes physical count really give you a headache. Give you a rough idea. If it's a pharmaceutical company who make the medicine drugs, and it's a listed company in Malaysia, okay, because I work with them a while. 那像这种上市公司的存货盘点 ，normally it takes 3 days. 3 days, okay? Then you know whenever you are doing the physical count, which means such huge warehouse, then you have to divide the number using the color. Then you have to you also need a very big space in order you move out the area A out, you count it, you sealed number you have counted already. Then you make sure the same item will not be counted twice. It happens. Some people are trying to cheat, okay? They repeat counting the same item. Okay, so that's why we are the auditor, we are coming from the CPA firm. We have to monitor how they are doing the physical count. Then we simply take out, make sure the number is correct. Okay? So it happens, I think I gave you the story before. It happens as the cases in the United States, in Texas, they have so many warehouse for oil because they dig the things from the ground. Okay? Then they have several warehouses. So the CPA, when they counted factory 1, then they go into factory A, they get it done, they move into factory B. During the time, they move all the tanks of oil to factory C. Okay? So that means the same thing. But if you have already sealed or give the tax, they cannot reuse again. They won't be double count. Okay, it happens. So that's why internal control for the inventory is very important. Okay, 他们就会把货品到处移来移去，重新被算。Okay, so that means they overstate their inventory. Actually, they don't have that much goods. Okay, so this is something important from chapter 5. No matter the system how good or bad, you still need to do the physical count for internal control purpose. Okay, now this is a new thing for these chapters. Okay, there are three things you need to pay special attention. 请大家注意啊，这3个就很重要。Okay, the first one is goods in transit. The second one, goods on consignment. and the third one, goods damaged or obsolete. OK， 这3个事情呢，请特别注意它的意思。啊，很容易被考 ，it's so popular to show up for the professional exam. OK, these 3 issues. The first one and the second one is all about the right. Who has the ownership of the things? OK, so what is the first one? Goods in transit means something has not arrived at the destination on the way. 好，在路途中的存货 very possible for international trade. Normally, if you're using the boat shipping or it takes a couple months. Could be possible from the west side to the another end of the earth. Okay, take a couple months. So if the end of December or monthly end, then we have to make sure what's the number for the inventory. Then, oh well, actually they are not arrived yet. But who owns the goods? The right, who own the ownership. So it's all related to, we mentioned that before, FOB shipping point and or FOB destination. Remember that? So that's why you need to know take out the document, confirm the shipping condition, then make sure who should the huge number of inventory go to the buyer or go to the seller. OK， 所以在途存货很重要，尤其对国际贸易的来说，因为一大笔货从你做海运的时候就要几个月 ，OK， 那既然几个月到月底要结账的时候，那请问这批货到底属于谁的？是卖方还是买方？那怎么知道呢？你就可以去拿出你的当初的合约买那个运货条件来决定是谁的。So this is the old issue from Chapter 5 already. The second one is very popular now in most of the countries, but not popular in Taiwan. Because some owner, they feel they want to, share the risk. If I own one store, I can only use one location to sell something. But if I consign, 叫做寄托 ，okay, I consign to 5 or even more stores, even though I have to pay fee, consignment fee, okay, but it's still worth it because I share the risk to different locations, okay. And another good thing is, if I consign using this type of sales, then I don't need to that big warehouse in order to keep the goods. Okay, so I spend the consignment fee, but however at the same time I save the inventory, the maintenance, the warehouse fee. Okay, 有些人呢，他为了不要风险集中在一个店上面，他就愿意把他的货品寄给不同的点去卖他的货品。那他给人家卖货品要抽成 ，OK， 但是那个费用相对于他省掉很多仓储的费用、人工或者是那个仓储的维护费用还是值得 ，OK。所以在国外，India, at least when I was in the United States, I saw several stores saying that we are consigning store, okay, which means they don't own their own products. They welcome all the people, consign the goods to them, then they sell for them. And maybe 5% commission for the consignment fee, okay? So when it happens, who owns the goods? Who has the right of goods? Of course, the people we can say that consignor, okay? And the consignee actually they only have the store selling something, but they don't own the inventory, but they receive fees, consignment fee, okay? So these 2 items is all about the ownership. Who owns that? Then easy to tell. Then who should show on the balance sheet, okay? But the third one is about the condition. Okay, probably you have the supermarket, probably you have the retailer store, or probably you are selling the 3C high-end products. In that case, it happens so often that the goods can be damaged or is out of date, we call that obsolete。这个字很好用的字哈 ，obsolete， 请记这单字，就是已经过了时了，已经荒废掉，不合时间，我们说 out of date 的东西啊，这样子情况下 ，in that case, goods are really damaged, goods are really obsolete. Then can they be removed from the inventory, or they should cut down the price to a reasonable price? Okay, so that you have to, if they have to cut up or remove, then the item of original inventory, what should they do on your the income statement? 如果发生了损坏，或者是东西已经腐坏了，那这个损失，不论是整笔的东西，或者是可能你的东西还可以卖个几成钱，那中间的损失要怎么去了解？啊，这就是this is about three important special attention to these items. Okay, we'll have a break. Okay. So at the same time, I'm going to find out the roll call. You have to do that from the pensions. Okay, so we're going to have the deep, more further discussion about these three items. Okay.
放成不知道。那再给他讲解。
The first one is goods in transit. For Chinese students, please try to memorize the Chinese words. OK， 台湾的同学麻烦注意，在途存货你一定要知道，做商科的什么叫在途，还在路上叫在途，它的英文就叫 transit。OK。OK。Here. OK. So this one is pretty easy. Then as long as you can define who owns the product. So how do you define? How do you make sure their ownership? We have these two terms supposedly will show on your contract. When you have a big purchase, you definitely need a contract, okay, or some purchase order, okay, 请购单或是合约书上 either the contract or the purchase order, you definitely will show the shipping condition, okay? And this one actually easy to distinguish, okay? For FOB free on board destination, you think from the seller side, then that's easy. 请用卖方的想法来做 ，OK? As long as the seller's responsibility till to the destination, then which means they should be responsible for the shipping. Since they are responsible for the shipping, means they own the inventories, right? So easy to tell. 再一次，这个 FOB 目的地交货，只要你从卖家的想法，他的责任要到目的地，所以在过程中卖方要付运费。然后他的责任，既然他要负责任，那他就拥有权是存货。Okay, the second one, FOB shipping point. The seller's responsibility only to the shipping point. Once the carrier move the things away, then they should not be responsible. Okay, 所以呢，这个起运点交货，卖方的责任只要带起运点就好。当那个运货卡车或者什么东西把它带走，就不关他的事。那既然这样子的话 the inventory ownership should go to the buyer, okay? And during the time after leaving the shipping point to the destination, the whole shipping transportation cost should go to the buyer, okay? Since they are paying the shipping fee, then they own the inventory, okay? 所以这个两个东西其实 very easy to tell. As long as you think from the seller side. Okay, their responsibility to destination or their responsibility to shipping. Once you define, then related costs can be solved. Then who owns the inventory can be solved. Okay, so this is about the goods in transit. For a professional auditor, this is very important because lots of company they try to overstate the inventory. Actually, some inventory do not belong to them. They still put on the balance sheet. Then, if you are really professional auditor, then you will ask, can you show me the contract can you show me the purchase order or sales, invoice something with the item, then you will figure out it should go to which side, the inventory, okay? So this is about goods in transit. So we should know once they leave, they go to the other side, okay? So second one, we have two terms to remember. For consignment, okay, who is consignor and who is a consignee, okay? Just like employer or employee, 只要有两个 double e 都是被动一方，被动的你应该学过，员工或者是雇主，雇主是 employer， 被雇的人有 double e 就是被动的一方，那一样 consignor 是主动方 ，consignee 是被接受绩销的人，也就是帮他卖货的人。OK， 那我们讲这个 the key things for the consignment is inventory go to consignor. OK, even though the goods are on the consignee side, they try to help to sell, but they don't own the inventory. They don't have the ownership. OK, this is something should be, I think it's easy to understand. Okay, consignor continue to own the goods. Okay, that's the point. And the last thing is very difficult, and you will need to pay lots of attention because the term will be used in lots of other subjects. Okay, so let's see the damage or obsolete, in other words, out of date. Okay, goods are not counted in inventory if they cannot be sold. Cannot be sold. Okay, so I gave example last week. Okay, some people, if you go to the like 家乐福, some retailer, then you will see what 全家, they will have a small area selling some goods about 2 days or 1 week about to the expiry date, okay? But they are still sellable. The only that they give some, discount. For example, the beer. Sometimes people like to drink fresh beer, all the kind of alcohol. But actually, they're still okay to drink. So, but if you buy some beer, only have 1 week to get expired, maybe you can get it 50% off, then why not? Okay. But the thing is, they are still sellable, so they are not our subject. The worst our subjects, you cannot sell them anymore. If you have something, actually, I think it happens. You go to the convenience store, you go to the supermarket, please make sure you have to check the date. Some store, no matter they are doing that on purpose or they didn't, pay attention about the expiration date, okay? But for the consumer, they are supposed to pay attention to the date, okay? If the expiry date is February 20, today is 21, right? Then you should go to the counter saying that you're not supposed to sell this item, okay? Then they have to move away, okay? So the thing is, they cannot be sold. If they cannot be sold, well, for the common language, we'll say that, it's a loss. 如果是一个都不能卖的东西，那个成本你就会把它叫做损失嘛。But how much you lost? How much you lost? Okay. Then they have to they have to think about that the loss of the value of the loss. Okay. Let's see. Cost should be reduced. Something if it cannot be sold, then the whole cost should be removed. But something, for example, for 3C items, 3C 产品, okay, even though like the iPhone, if you are, what number is now? I think iPhone 15, 14, 13, 15. I remember 15. Okay, if you are the 15 is coming, but the store still having some iPhone 10. Who are going to buy iPhone 10? Probably some consumers say, if you are willing to give me a really good price, I might consider, right? So, for example, original Taiwan dollars, 20,000 for an iPhone, maybe for iPhone 10, then they will cut to 6,000, okay? Then somebody will buy it, okay? If that's the story, then the original cost is 20,000, now goes to 6,000, okay? Then how much you think 6,000 is acceptable? Okay, now so cost should be reduced if there's something either from damage or from the obsolete, then we have to reduce the price to a new word. You have to know this terminology. Net realizable value. Okay, realizable, but we have learned some word recognition. Okay, if you want to recognize something, there's something about put on your, you recognize this item, then it means they have to show on your book, accounting book. Okay, then if net realizable value, realizable means something can turn to cash realizable. OK， 注意一下哈，这个字，如果你上学期学过认列 recognize， 当你要认列一样东西的时候，意思是它必须要放在你的会计账簿上，出现你的会计账簿上。注意这两个单词很像 recognition、recognize or realizable。那 realizable 的意思是说，它可以变成现金的意思，那就是 realizable 可以实现 realize 可以实现的价值。OK， 所以如果是一个货品，它不管任何原因啊，已经过期了，已经不时髦了，市场上不接受了，或者呢这个东西腐败了 ，OK， 但是还有一些小价值 ，OK， 那这个时候你怎么样把这个原始成本把它变成可以净实现价值？所以我们这个 we can a short brief abbreviation we call the NRV, okay, because net realizable value is too long. So most people will say NRV, then you should know what NRV means, okay? 那中文叫做净变现价值。Okay, this is very important. Later on, lots of subjects might need to use how to calculate NRV. So you should know the definition. Your textbook is too easy, just saying that for the future forecast, the selling price, cut something related to cost. Then it's very vague. Okay, you should define like this. You estimate. 注意啊，这个估计的价钱 ，something 这个东西，你预期还可以卖多少价钱 ？The estimated selling price in the ordinary course. What is an ordinary course? Normal way 啊，正常的方式 ，ordinary course of business 正常业务的情形 ，less 减掉 ，you estimate how much the cost you're going to complete. Or how much the cost you estimate will make. So still too much, you don't understand. Okay, let's give a good example. We have a huge farm of corn. Okay, large piece of land of the farm of the corn. 卖玉米的嘛哈。Then, today is the end of November. But the problem is the corn are still growing, right? Then what's the inventory value you should put on for this large piece of the corn? 知道吗？今天如果是在做结账的时候，你的那个一大堆农作物还没有收成，还没有卖，你怎么知道你存货要怎么放 ？Okay, corn, if they are just seed, 籽的they grow, then it still cannot know how much for the inventory. Okay, so if that's the example, then we should adopt NRV to calculate. So we know these huge parcel of the corn, they can be grown maybe next March, 3 months later. Okay? At the time, based on my experience, we can estimate the selling price. So here is the formula. We can estimate the total value, the sales price for the farm. Okay, then before 3 months coming up, okay, you need to put lots of labor, remove some grass or put more fertilizers. Something 你必须要除草，你必须要去施肥。So you need to pay lots of material, including the labor. Okay, so you have estimated completion cost before the March. 好，3月份前你还要找人来除草，你还要找人施肥，然后还要再去做一些其他事情。Then you estimate， 等这些的 corn grown up, then you have to put lots of advertisement and doing some sales. Then we have other expense we call the cost. 所以呢，简单来说，假设这批玉米田在12月31号的时候，我预估3个月后这么大片田可以帮我卖500万的钱。那500万呢，我估计在这个3个月里面，我要施肥，我要除草，我可能要花掉30万。那500万减去30万，470万。那470万呢，我还要去做广告，好的很大的钱，还有一些什么行销，可能要花到50万。所以刚刚470万再减50万是420万，这420万就是你的 inventory cost。You put on your balance sheet, OK？ 注意啊 ，there are lots of industry has to use the NRV be counted as the inventory cost. For example, some winery, 矿，这个叫you have to gold, oil, something. Then at the time you need to make the financial statement. How do you count for your inventory? So you have to estimate what area we're going to dig for the gold, silver, copper, whatever. Okay? Then you count it from the future selling price, cut the selling price, expand maybe, and cut the cost, maybe put more, digging to something. Then you can finalize your NRV number for your inventory number. 好，这个很难，麻烦同学注意一下。可是呢 ，since they are difficult, so this so easy possibility is very high to show on your exam. And this is a very professional issue. OK， 再讲一次，净变现价值在很多产业上都会用到，矿物类、农作品。都会用到来估计你到底有多少的存货金额。那我们的方法很简单，从最远的预估售价，扣掉可能要再去投入的销货费用，再去扣掉可能你要投入的相关成本，它就是你的 NRV 的价值。那这个 NRV 呢，等一下还要讲，它还不是最，它 NRV is the temporary stage you got number. Yes.
我想问就是。如果说，比如说像矿物或农作物这些东西，它预估他们说有10价的，就是10价，就是你的那个价格会起伏。那它是按照最高点，还是说当下你完工之后，你开采出来要贩卖时候的价格？
我们现在讲说 ，we are talking about at the financial date， 资产负债表日。那假设通常是12月31号。或者是某个月的，一定是最后一天嘛，才会做财务报表，对不对？那一天呢，你估计你这一批的矿要准备什么时候拿出去可以去卖的 ？OK， 不管金矿、银矿什么矿，那你有个估计的未来售价。他并没有讲说哦，这个东西高点是低点。那如果你知道高点低点，当然就可以知道高点低点。可是问题是，未来的时间还没到，你怎么知道它的点在哪里？ So that's why we are using estimated selling price.
然后先抓一个。
对，但你有些 how accurate is the estimation based on your history? But something except you don't know. For example, we have Russia fighting with Ukraine. Then who's going to know that will become a world fight? or not. Okay, if that happens, then probably something really bad. But normally we are not talking about any exception. 好，我们没有讲的例外。正常来说，这批货根据目前的状况，3个月后如果没有特别时间，它应该可以卖多少钱？然后再扣掉相关过往你的广告费、销售费多少，应该都知道。再扣掉说，你还有多少东西没完成，你要去挖，还有多少劳工费用要去用，那这个时候相关成本扣掉，那就是你的存货价值跟 NRV 价值。OK。Alright, so try to remember the formula here. It's not on your book, but it's very important formula to calculate the NRV. 好，你们课本上写的很含糊，就是说未来的售价减去相关的费用就结束了。那它到底怎么叫相关？好，那你应该指的是，就是扣掉相关的销售费用，扣掉相关的投入成本啊，就是你的净变现价值。OK。So this is the formula to calculate the NRV. Okay. After that, then we go to some easy item to determine the inventory cost. Well, I think we have the example pretty much. You minus discount, you plus something like insurance, storage fee, freight, which means transportation. Then you have to remember when it's transportation in, there's a transportation out. Okay? When the transportation in, normally is the buyer will count it as cost of the inventory. But if it's a transportation out, normally it becomes the seller's expense. 记不记得我们上学期在讲运费的时候，有2个词叫做 transportation in 和 transportation out， 记不记得？如果是 transportation in， 意思就是货品进来的费用由买方出。OK， 那既然是买方出的话，就要算到它存货成本上面的加项。那我们今天如果看到课本上的题目是叫 transportation out， 就是说卖方卖出去他要付的运费。这个时候请记住 ，transportation out should go to if you are the seller, then you incur the transportation in. Then they should go to your expense item. Okay? But if you have the buyer, then you see you have a transportation in. Then they should go to the inventory. Later on become cost of goods sold. Okay? These two are different. Okay, import duty, sometimes we call tariff. 请注意啊，你们这边都是商科同学要知道什么叫 tariff。T A R I F F 就是国际的那个货物税啊，货物税 tariff 啊，这个在做贸易的时候，价钱会有很大的关系。就像我们台湾 ，for Taiwan, if you buy the import car because the tariff is so high, so it's you're not worth it to buy it. The price so different. The same BMW and Mercedes-Benz, okay, Mercedes-Benz or something, if you buy in the United States or you buy in Taiwan, same car, same model, but price is so different. Because Taiwan is more, why it's so expensive? Because we charge more import duty fee or tariff, okay? That makes the things different. Okay. For internal control, you only need to know, because I just asked, I said most of you know you need to take the real number, counting number. Then if they are different, most of the time could be the physical number is less than the book number. Okay, for example, your So next time, try to sit facing here, because I'm using the board here. I'm not using the board there. So if you're facing that way, then you have to turn, all the way here. Not suitable. So for example, from your computer system, your inventory value is 1,000. So we call that book value. 好，你的账簿上金额是1000，结果你 have physical count, then it's going to 850. Then we just mentioned you need to pick up the number of this one. 这才是你的 real number, okay? But the problem is your book already recognized number of 1,000. You have to go to 850. How are you going to do that? So that's why we are saying you are making adjusting entry. 调整分录，调整成850. Then easy. So because this is not the accounting account, we say that inventory. Okay. So for your book, you have inventory 1,000. And inventory is asset. Since it's asset, it goes to debit or credit. Assets go to debit or credit. 资产存货在资产上，所以它借方还贷方。Debit, good. So it's debit. So you need to cut to 100, which means you have inventory tier account. So far you have 1,000, but actually you need to make them to 850. It's easy to see from the tier account, right? 1,000 becomes the final number 850. Definitely, you need to credit 150 in order to become this number, right? 对不对？其他同学，你的账簿上原本是1000，你要把它最后变成850，你是不是要借贷冲销，从贷方冲掉150嘛？对不对？ So that's why for adjusting entry, this I know I should put on inventory to debit 150. When I'm making the adjusting entry, 我在做调整分录嘛。你的原本的账户上是1000，我要把它变成850，真确实最后那数字，那你要把它带 ，we say that offset， 好，冲销150。Then how do you do the offset? Debit to credit, credit to debit. 好 ，we offset the number. So that's why you put a debit 150. The problem is what you are going to put here, another 150 to complete the adjusting entry. To complete adjusting entry. This is very important. Please, please, please. 每位同学麻烦注意一下哈，常常碰到存货最后点的实际数字不一样。我们现在给的例子是存货实际点的数字比电脑账少，那你电脑账少，你就要把这边从借贷冲销掉150才会变成这个数字。那现在问题是，你知道贷方写存货150，那借要写什么 ？Okay, before for the traditional way, people used to use loss. Okay, 有损失，因为你本来1000，不知道 for some reason, finally the real number is 150. So you have the loss. But now we are in the IFRS International Accounting Rule Standard. No, we don't use that anymore. Okay? Why? What's the difference? Then what are you going to do? Just think that way. When you have the inventory loss, then normally it's something about what? About your inventory, management or the internal control problem. It's all the problem related to the item. 你这个1000变成850、150的损失，它跟谁有关系啊？它跟货品有关系，跟你的存货的管理有关系，跟你的存货成本有关系。So if you use the traditional way, loss, for the income statement, where does the loss goes to? The loss to here. Okay? If you put the loss to the expense item under here, then it's not related to the item itself. So that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. So is not the right way. So the new rule for IFRS, any loss from the inventory, you go to cost of goods sold, which means this 150 should go to here. So we just mentioned in the beginning, any gross profit is talking about the item, the inventory itself. Okay, so that makes sense. So you increase some loss here, then you turn down your gross profit. Okay, so if that happens frequently, your management should, investigate the problem. What happened to the warehouse? Who's the people always steal something or didn't pay attention to the management? Okay, 所以存货损失不应该是公司的费用要去承担，而是你的销货成本要去承担。因为你的销货成本承担，你的毛利就下降。如果这种事情常常发生毛利下降的问题的话，公司要去检讨，到底谁在管这些货品？怎么样？常常是有人在偷吗？还是老鼠太多 ？Okay, you have to find the problem of the warehouse problem. So it's related to cost of goods sold. So please remember here, any adjusting, then why cost of goods sold put on debit? Remember, sales for our equation. Let's do a review quick. Okay, here includes two items, capital and the revenue. The revenue here we say that sales. Okay, revenue is for one man company or service business. But for sales, you buy something, you sell something. You don't call them revenue anymore. You say that they are sales. Okay, since all here debit and all here credit. So sales should normally go to credit, right? But the cost of goods sold is the minor item of the sales. That's why to the opposite side. Sales 是在贷方，任何会减少贷方的东西都是在什么？借方。That's why when anything you're going to increase the cost of goods sold, the normal balance for cost of goods sold is on debit. Okay, so increase for here, then you decrease the inventory from debit to credit. Okay, 再解释一下哈，因为根据我们上学期学的恒等式 ，OK， 5大类，记不记得？资产负债权 ，asset liability equity， 所以 you should know the position of debit and credit. OK， 那因为在 equity 下面也有 capital 跟 sales， 它们都是在贷方。那任何的项目要减少你的 sales， 一定是走相反方向的借方。所以为什么销货成本是在正常位置在借方 ？OK， then what about reverse? When you have something, your book is 1,000, and actually when you count, you have $1,200 here. You have $1,200. The real number is more than the computer number, which means originally you have 1,000 here, but actually they should increase 200 here in order to make the real number. Then it's easy. It's easy. Just reverse. Here, just reverse. You increase inventory to debit 200. Then you have to decrease your cost of goods sold to 200. Just reverse. Okay. So this is about internal control for the inventory count. OK， 知道了吗？这个部分很重要啊，就是实地盘点的数字跟你的账簿上是不一样的。如果这样子的话，损失的话就是算在销货成本上。OK， 如果多出来的话， 存货要追加上去，然后减少销货成本。好，就是这个东西是几乎 almost every exam will text about this part. How are you going to handle with difference between the book number and the physical number? Okay, that's very important here. So this is about the first part of the inventory basics. Okay, this is about how we're going to do the physical count. I think that's very easy. Normally, we will tag all the inventory items. We say that pre-numbered, okay, and you tag to the item. Then so in that case, you don't have to, it will not happen that you double count something. Okay, and also normally there's something people is monitoring the inventory warehouse, then they are not supposed to count it again. So when you do the inventory count, you cannot hire any people in your group that working for the warehouse. Okay, you have to get the team should include somebody else. Okay, then so we have the validity. This is all about the auditing. You make sure all the items on your assets they are valid. They are really there. Okay, or you have to check whether they are all complete, or something is not overstate, or something not understate. So you have to make sure to complete this and that they really are valid. Okay, so this is just to get a concept. It's not that important. So this is something about last semester under the perpetual system. Finally, whatever you find not any inventory, it goes to the balance sheet, and any cost of goods sold is an income statement item. This is I think that not easy. Okay, we'll go to the quiz one. Please get to your Trump class. No discussion, but open book question. So let's do that something really new here. Okay, 来注意看听课了哈。Remember the first class I mentioned there are several methods you might need can adopt in order to define your inventory cost or cost of goods sold. Okay, so we call that cost flow. Okay. So management decision in accounting for inventory involve the following. The number one, what's the related cost, incidental cost and the cost itself. Okay, the cost itself. Number one is okay. But number two is what we are going to learn. Costing methods. Costing method. Actually, originally there are 4 methods you can use, which is specific identification. I specific saying that I want to sell this car. So something like very expensive item. So which means the volume should be very limited. For example, the import car, maybe for the very high-end import car, I maybe will purchase 20 cars only per year. Okay, so within the 20 cars, my customer can very easily say, I want to buy this car, I want to buy that car. So on your book, it's very easy to get the original cost. Okay, 价格非常贵的项目呢，我们通常用个别认定法，叫做 specific identification. OK， 这样子，因为它价格高，数量少，所以你可以很清楚知道说，我卖的那个货的原始成本多少。所以 this one we say that specific identification， 中文叫做个别认定。OK，the second one see FIFO, first in first out. The third one LIFO, last in first out, or weighted average. Then this one we call that cost flow. Cost flow. Okay. How do you flow when you sell something? Okay. First in, first out. Easy. You should be very patient for the last hour because it's very important and very easy to get you confused. Okay, so we have the timeline here. Your first purchase during the different date. Okay, if you are using the first in, first out, which means first in, when you sell something, I always pick up this cost first. The second, then. We call this first in, first out. Okay, but if you are using last in, first out, which is not really make sense. Okay, why you don't sell the goods you purchased earlier? When you are saying last in, first out, don't have the other, which means the first time you want to sell is the last one you purchased. Okay, then. So this is last in, first out. It doesn't make any sense. However, it existed before. Okay, so the last one weighted average. I feel so bothered. Why I have to trace the flow? I make it average cost. Average cost. Okay, so in that case, what? 现在是还要上课哦，我为什么这么早上？
Oh no!
So we can dismiss earlier, right? Not exactly. You don't get lost. I don't get lost either. Okay. All right. So actually, the number one isn't important. It's not important because we're using perpetual. We don't say anything about periodic because nowadays, very real people were using the periodic system. Okay. Then the last one. Okay. Cost of net realizable value. Now we're going to say these 4 items. Okay. Why there's a cost flow? Okay. Just think that way. We purchase item a different date. Will it be possible that the price always fixed? Not. Like the inflation? Okay, always. Recently, how much can you feel the pressure? For example, you want to buy a lunchbox, or you go to the McDonald's, you go to anywhere. Do you feel the price rise? I feel that very significant. For example, lots of the small restaurant, even a small restaurant, that originally you buy a lunch, maybe with $80, now it's $100 everywhere. Why? Because of inflation. Even though I don't feel that, the import price again that much. But once you raise the price, it's so difficult to go back. That will be the price. Okay. Anyway, so the identical item, same thing. Identical means the same items are purchased at different costs. It's very possible. Okay. So that's why then actually they are the same items. But however, when you have the situation, then we call that cost flow. Different date purchase. So when you are selling the goods, then because when you for the perpetual interest system, you need to do 2 entries, right? The first one you record the sales. The second one you record what? Remember from chapter 5? Who's answering me? Ru Xuan. Ellie. So what answer question I asked? When you under the perpetual inventory system, when you sell something, what are the 2 entries you need to report? Yes, the first one is sales, and the second one cost of goods sold, right? Okay. Since you need to record the cost of goods sold, so it matters which method you are using. Because I just mentioned the price here, they are different. The purchase price not equal. So when you are using FIFO, the cost of goods sold you purchase from this area. When you are using the FIFO, the cost of goods sold, the price is you getting from here. Okay, so let's see why people using 2 methods. Even I told you they are valid. But how come here I make a cross? I don't, in Taiwan, actually for here, why we cross this one? Because now the nation, the all country in the world, only the United States are still allowed the company using the LIFO. Besides the United States, for the IFRS, International Accounting, no one is not allowed. It's not allowed. So let me explain why it's not make sense to using the LIFO. Okay, and why people do that. Then, for the price, normally for inflation, it should be like this way, correct? The price getting higher and higher, even though same item from different date. Okay, which means this is the first one here, second day, second purchase, third purchase, fourth purchase. So we are saying when you are selling the goods, you also need to record the cost of goods sold, which is the cost of the original inventory. Just for example, here is $20, 21, 23, 25, then here's 30. Okay, for unit price. Then you sell the item. For example, you sell two goods, one for $50. So for two goods, the selling price is how much? $100 here. Okay, so the cost goods sold, since you're using the FIFO, so you pick up this one and this one. So that you add it up to 41. So which means your gross profit is $59. Okay, this is for FIFO. If I'm using LIFO for rising price, you still have the same sales price here. Then you have 30, you have 28. So your cost goods sold goes to 58, which means your gross profit down to 42. Are you happy with this? Maybe you are not, but some company is happy for this number. Why? For the stage of different company, from new stock company, or some people are rising or mature or get down. So that's why when you are going to a very steady stage, what's your purpose? Because you have lots of assets, you have good sales. But at that time, what do you want? You want to avoid what? Everybody do that. Tax. What's the tax base? You have gross profit, then you minus related things. Then, for example, here's $30. Then your tax in Taiwan, the corporate tax 20%. So you get 20% off. Then your net profit is 24. Okay, but if this case, you might go to 26. The same 20% tax, then you save tax. But you might argue, but the problem is their final net income is smaller than the FIFO. They don't care because they are very mature stage. All they want save lots of tax. Okay, so that's the way. Still have some company using the LIFO. So the only reason people is adopting LIFO is only for tax purpose. Okay, but for international accounting, they don't think it is acceptable. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, and also remember the IFRS, the spirit of the IFRS is now the final day of the reports. They have to, all the asset should be close to the market price. Okay, so in that case, you think if I'm using FIFO, I sold the prior parts over here, and the last one I didn't sell out, they are my inventory. So if you're using LIFO method, actually your inventory is closing to the market price. That's the spirit of the IFRS. Okay, But if you are using LIFO, anything not sold already at the bottom, and actually they are far away from the market price. So that's not the one IFRS wants. That's the reason. One reason the tax issue is not allowed. The second one is not compliant to the IFRS market price issue. Okay, so that's why here, since this book is published by the United States, so they still put on the LIFO, but for IFRS, no LIFO anymore. So this is very important. Sometimes you're working have later on. I hope that they, because we don't know why the United States is still refusing to adopt the IFRS. But I will say 80% or 90% country in the world, they're already using the IFRS. So you don't worry, since you are learning the IFRS accounting, so you can go anywhere you want using the same system. Okay, so this is the difference for cost flow. Then, so same item, purchased from different date, so that's why the cost can be different. 同样的东西在不同的时间里面买，它的价钱可能就不一样 ，OK 就不一样。Let's see how to calculate the things. So we have here we have only three. I removed the LIFO. So we have specific identification. 台湾的我们这边同学注意一下它的中文哈，叫个别认定法 ，OK？ Then first in first out, we say FIFO, OK？ 叫先进先出法 ，OK？ 那 weighted average 就叫做加权平均法。Then do you think in Taiwan or in most countries which one is most popular among these three? Which one is most popular? Just guess.
The first one.
FIFO? What do you say? Which one is most popular?
In Taiwan.
No, I mean most of countries, including Taiwan too. FIFO? FIFO? But actually the answer
What
is,
would be different, the first one?
oh, first one, that's definitely not the answer.
So it's different.
Because I just mentioned why you need to use the first one. Definitely
We tried.
the unit cost is very, very high and the volume is very, very small. Just like the import car. Are you going to import 10,000 Mercedes-Benz? Then you are really has lots of capital. 你如果有很大资本，你要进口1万台 Benz 吗？
Yes.
Oh yes, okay.
Oh yes.
Oh yes. Now what about 100,000? Okay, no way. Okay, so definitely not the number one. Then we left 2 and 3. Actually, most of 80% of the companies are adopting the weighted average. Why? Because the inflation issue, you never know, up, down, up, down. Then you always have to worry, or I have to pay more tax, or I pay less tax, I have to trace the numbers. Okay. So why bother? Just let it flat. Okay. So most of the country are using weighted average. Okay. Then you have to know these three methods are all legal, are all acceptable. Okay. Whatever here is important message. Which one you're using, you have to disclose the method in the notes. Okay. Remember when you are reading, analyze the company's financial statement, you cannot just read the full statement. The most valuable information is hidden in the notes disclosure. 好，大部分的财务报表你们在读的时候，我现在那个this method I have to spend 6 times on Sunday teaching the high level MBA. The students are coming from industry. Most of them are directors or the owners, something like that. Okay, then I have the major 2 parts is financial statement analysis and the major accounting. And actually, 2 weeks before a week before, February 13th, Sunday, I came to school, then have my first class. There were 10 students, and most of them they are owners. Okay, but actually, why they all show up? Because they think they don't know the numbers. Most of them, their background is from the engineer or not the business. So they don't know the number. They only know, oh, I know my company has some balance sheet, income statement, but what about them? They don't even know. So they're curious about my lesson, like that class. Actually, I didn't teach by myself because we are from the university. We only teach some theory, but for financial statement, this course has to spend at least, I think, 10 weeks at least. Okay, so I contact some very, very famous lecturer from the industry. He's coming here to just for 5 hours to complete all financial statement. Everybody feels great lecture. They say it's worth it to spend money in Asia to learn the lecture, financial statement analysis. Okay, so when you are reading the financial statement, you are not just reading the number from statement. You also need to know the valuable information in the notes. 我们中文叫做附注揭露。好，财务报表后面的附注 ，the disclosure can be couple many pages. Okay, so you have to read closely in order to find something really valuable. Okay, so if any one of this you are using, you have to disclose in the notes. 这个 notes 中文就叫做附注揭露，在财报后面的东西。OK， 好 ，so the cost flow, the physical flow, is the one I really purchased by the day. We call that physical flow. But actually, for your accounting, you may adopt one of these. We call that cost flow. Cost flow. Okay, these two not necessarily to be the same. That's why accounting person, accountant, if you are really senior accountant, you know how to manipulate the number, the accounting number for your company's good, as long as they are legal. Okay, so it's really make a difference. Make the difference. Okay, I just said what is the first in, first out, and what is the weighted average. Let's see the example, then you may get more feeling. Then we are going to do some stuff from the homework here, okay? Assume there are 3 identical units are purchased separately at the 3 dates, okay? May 1 at 45, May 3, 65, May 6, 70, which means the price is rising. Then 1 unit is sold on May 7. So when you are saying 100, it's easy. You have cash or accounts receivable debit, and you credit sales $100. That's easy. But what about you have to make what? Cost of goods sold. Okay, how much things you remove from inventory and pass to cost of goods sold. You debit cost of goods sold, you credit inventory, right? The entry. Okay, so that it makes difference which methods you are using. So here's the example here. We purchase different things. If I'm using the specific identification, I can easily point out, okay, the one I sold for $100, that's from May 3. That's we say specific identification. Okay, 你看我每上课都是那个外籍学生特别认真，我们自己学生呢都不知道在干嘛。
我很认真。
有，你们因为你们在这群 ，OK， 那边的都啪啦啪躺了躺，都不知道在干嘛。Honestly, I'm telling you, I received several complaints about your class, especially our Taiwanese students, from different professors. They say there's problem with your lots of students' learning attitude. 我真的已经听了好几门课，老师在讲你们这班好几个学生的学习态度不好，真的要注意一下，不要让人家觉得是干嘛读双语就要出去吗？家里就怎样吗？不要这样子哈！你们来这个班笔试，应该你们觉得很有这个机会，让你能够有一些规划 ，OK？ 不要让人家认定人这边就是 就是来这边混的，这样真的不好。我们听到就觉得很伤心，因为我觉得我在你们这一班，我觉得还算是一学期有些感情。OK， 那我也觉得其实好几位同学都很好啊，就是有几位同学这个坏了大家的印象，这样子真的不太好。OK， 好，我们讲个别认定，就是你卖的东西可以指定是哪一批货 ，OK， 哪一天日期买进来的。那如果是 first in first out 呢，我们就很 easy， 从这个3个层次，从 bottom up to the recent date。Okay, so for example, you sell $100. If you are using the first in first out, definitely the cost is from May 1. So you minus 45, then the gross profit goes to 55. Okay, but if you wait, what is about weighted average? Weighted average is when you are purchasing something, you have to add all the costs together and divide it by the unit amount. For example, we have 70 added up 65, 45, you divide it by 3. So the average cost is 60. Okay, 60. So here you sell one item for 100, then the weighted average is 60. So you make your gross profit here. Okay, so maybe you will see, wow, the gross profit is lower than the first in FIFO. But how do you know? Maybe the price go down, maybe the price go up. Okay, so you don't need to worry when you are using the weighted average. You don't need to worry about that situation. Okay, so that's why most countries adopting this one. Okay, so the conclusion is cost flow. 现在 you should know what the cost flow about based on the method you're using. We say that cost flow. 什么叫做成本流动？指的就是你使用的哪一种方法。决定你的销货成本的金额是多少，这叫做成本流动假设。Okay, so cost flow assumptions can markedly impact gross profit and end inventory amount. 所以它为什么要选择方法？它会影响 not just cost of flow. When you impact the cost of flow, definitely you impact the ending inventory too. Agree? Right? Because you pull everything out from inventory. You pull more, inventory getting down. You pull less, your inventory going up. So they are linked together. So when you are seeing the assumption impact, actually should be on both cost of goods sold and ending inventory. Ending inventory, not the beginning inventory. Okay, that's different. Okay, 所以注意哈，就为什么 why we say a senior more experienced accountant, he or she should know what's the better way for their company when they make decision to adopt the methods. OK， 好，所以呢，这个 cost flow 这里成本流动假设呢是会影响到So when you are saying you impact cost of goods sold, actually you impact your profit, which is coming from the income statement, right? When you are saying its impact on your ending inventory, actually those are the issue about balance sheet. Okay. Normally, if you are going to get loan from the bank, listen to my question. If you are going to get loan from the company, you prefer you have more good balance sheet, or you prefer you have better income statement? Sometimes, of course, you say, I want both are good, of course. But for getting loan from the bank, do you think they more concerned on balance sheet or more concerned on your income statement? You get my questions? 你要去借银行借钱，你觉得银行比较在乎你的资产负债表，还是比较在乎你的那个损益表
Balance sheet.
？Why?
Because then you have your assets which can accommodate collateral.
Yeah. If something really bad happen, you cannot pay off your debts, then they still have your assets to sell you. Because when you borrow money from the bank, your asset specific item always can be the pledge, okay? Collateral. Is that right? They have the first priority to sell the item. So they worry about balance sheet status more than in the operating, profit. Okay, so you have to know what they want, what's their purpose, okay? So, but if you are the start-up company, which one you prefer? If you are start-up company, then you want to borrow money from the bank. Do you think you can easy to get money from the bank?
No.
Definitely not. Very difficult.
Definitely.
But if you are a really good startup company, then do you think they care about your income statement more, or they care about your balance sheet more? Still balance sheet? I think it's not the answer. But if I'm the people from the bank, I care about your income statement more, because your startup company, I don't think supposedly you have very solid asset balance sheet. But I want to see your potential. Maybe you are the tomorrow's star. That's possible. So I care about your, the profit, how much you can make. Then I will give you the money, okay? For different purpose. So, okay, let's do this. Then it should be very clear. Okay, this is a case example. We have a beginning inventory, then we have a 3 purchase date, and we have 2 sales date. Okay, so if you see your paper here, then here's example. Then you will see the several columns. Then you will see purchase, sales, and balance. Of course, this means your ending inventory balance. So you have 3 areas: purchase, sales, and the balance. Okay, so we just do this example, then maybe it's helping you to finish the one. Okay, so I use different color to distinguish. Okay, here, if you are using the specific identification, of course you should know which item you purchase will be the one to assign to the cost. So this one should be very exactly right, no bias, because you know specific cost amount. Okay, so this is the easy one. So of the two sales date, they know they want to sell 8 item, which is cost 91, 12 bikes, which cost 106. Let's see the original example. Okay, we have several things here. So if you want to decide the sales here, the case is some from 91, some 8 from 91, 12 from 106. Okay, so after August 3rd, you have totally 25 inventory units, and with different unit price. If you are using a specific, it's very easy. He said, 91, I want to sell 8, and 106, I want to sell 12. So this is very easy one. And also from August 31, same thing. Okay, then can link to the price. So from here, so similar to your question, you should know record the purchase, you should know the cost, and you should know the ending inventory. So here's the one. If the sales date here, this is specific identification. 8 from 91, see the beginning, 91, new purchase 106. So the green box is your ending inventory record. Okay, when you sell something for the specific, you should know you pour from here. Okay, so 8 items for 91, 12 items for 106. After you add it up, you know for the cost of goods sold for August 14, you know how much it should be. So after you sold out the things, then the left should be go to the ending balance. Okay, so you have another new purchase on August 7, another new purchase for August 28. So here you pile up the 4 different prices for different items here. When you use the last day, you're going to sell then it's specific for the item. So you should know pull out from where. So after you sold out the things, then you have the ending balance. So after the 2 days of sales, one is 2,000, another one 200,582. You need to add it up because this 4,582 is your what? Cost of goods sold. So when you are calculating the cost goods sold, you need to trace how many transactions you have made for sales. But when you are making the balance sheet for your ending inventory, you don't need to care about anything happened before because the last number is the one you want to get. Understand? Cost goods sold one more time. 当我们在陆续的卖东西的时候，每卖一笔就要记录它相关的销货成本。所以在最后你要算你到底卖了多少的销货成本，你要把每一笔卖出去的东西要相加。但是在期末存货的时候，因为它不断存货都是一直在更新，因为我们这是永续制 ，OK perpetual inventory system， 所以我们的 ending inventory 呢 always the last one， 所以是1408。所以这相关的数字，一个是放在 income statement 损益表上，一个是放在 balance sheet 就是资产负债表上，这样子 OK 吗 ？I give you 1 minute to digest the information here. We are using specific identification. You should know it well, then we'll move on. 看一下哈，这个表，先看看它整个架构有什么，买进来的东西，卖出去的东西，再来是那个期末存货，期末存货。那如果是个别认定法的时候呢，就很容易去追踪出它个别的卖出项目 ，OK？ 我们今天要上完先进先出再下课，但现在我们的第一个项目是个别认定法。We have to finish 5-0 by today, OK? 5-0。Anyone doesn't understand here? The question here? 有没有人不懂的 ？Let me explain more for you. Got it? Understand? 后面的清楚吗？知不知道？个别认定的意思。黑里啊，我看你上课都没在听，可是考试考很好。你是回家偷偷看吗？上课都不专心哦。Okay, then it's easy when you purchase, since it's a perpetual inventory system, so very easy, you only trace on your inventory. So you buy something, debit, merchandise inventory, credit AP. Okay, so when you keep purchasing, then that's easy. But when you sell something, please make sure you really have to do it correctly. You need 2 entries. 大家再自己重复一遍，在永续制下卖东西的时候，一定要记录2笔东西，一个是销货，一个是销货成本。So one is sales, so you have AR, debit, credit, sales. 注意啊，这边的复习一下上学期的东西哈。 上学期就讲卖的时候要记录 sales， 注意啊，再不要告诉我说你的 sales 放在借方哈 ，sales 因为是权益类，销货是权益类 ，since sales is item under the equity，okay, so the normal balance is on credit, normal balance on credit. Then when you sell something, you move inventory. 当你要从存货东西移出来的话，存货是资产。那移走的话就要放贷方 ，so that's why you credit inventory, then incur the cost of goods sold. Okay, when you sold out something, you incur the cost. Okay, we call that cost of goods sold. So please make sure cost of goods sold, the normal balance is on debit. Okay, debit. Another reason it is debit because it's a less item, okay, subtract item of the sales, okay. 任何要减掉销货的会计科目都是它的对方，就变成借方，因为销货是贷方 ，okay. So same thing for August 31. Okay, so this one should be easy. Okay, then we are going to go to more frequently test. Okay, for in exam we call that FIFO, 常常考的 okay. The oldest, okay, which means the purchase earlier, okay, always go to the cost of goods sold first. Anything left and close to recent cost, we call that ending inventory, okay, ending inventory. Then let's see the questions, okay. 我们看这个表比较 okay, generally. We bought something for purchase and sold something on 14 and purchase, sold. Okay, we have several things. Let's see the FIFO. Okay, and it's very important. You have to pile up the record from the normal inventory balance, always up for the earlier purchase. Then the bottom one is always the recent purchase. You have to make the order, otherwise you mess up. Okay, the date of the sequence is very important. 在先进先出法下，一定要很确认你每一次买东西的时候，你在存货的记录从上到下要依据你的进货日期排下来。如果你把它混掉了，你就拿错了。OK， 不过 don't worry, if you are using the accounting systems, it won't do that many mistakes. No more. Okay. So in the beginning, you have 10 items. Get the unit price 91. When you have newer purchase, you pile up at the second here. Then when you sold totally here, on August 14th, the company sold 20 items. 20 items. Here is the questions. 14 sold 20 bikes. 20 bikes. Now you should know where to take the unit price. In the beginning, there are only 10 bikes. So this one you used up. The second new purchase, 15, still enough for 10. So you have used the 106 for your another 10 unit price. So you add it up for today's sales cost of goods sold. Then, since you have already sold 10, so for your inventory, only have 5 with the unit price 106 left. The sequence is important. So, then you have 2 days of new purchase. So every time you new purchase, you pile down. So for the recent one, you have 3 unit price with different items. So on August 31, the question is saying that sold 23 bikes. So here, 23 from here, 5 from here, 20 here. Then you need to get 23 bikes. So 5 from here, 18 from here. So 18 from here. So again, add it up for today's cost of goods sold. So since you have 18 sold, so you have 2 left, and you still have the recent purchase with 119. So here is the ending inventory. and you add it up, two together, makes the cost goods sold. So this is FIFO, this is FIFO, okay? Got it? So give you 2 minutes, anyone who doesn't understand, because since I promised I will dismiss earlier,
Yes.
so I'm not going to do the homework, the in-class exercise, okay? Make sure you have to bring in the paper, this one, okay? So anyone, don't try to rush, please, you have to understand, you get, so that's why the table is very important. The table is very important, see if you don't, you have to make the purchase column, you have to make the cost goods sold column, you have to make the ending inventory balance column. So whenever you have purchased, you have to tie up by the dates. Then when you sold something, you have to sold by the sequence of the item from the earliest one. Okay? So anything not sold must be close to the market price. So that's why FIFO is more real. FIFO is more real. Okay? But unfortunately, since the price goes down up and down, so that's why companies will prefer to use weighted average. Okay? Okay. For today.